Hey guys, this is a part of One Defining Moment, and I'm going to share with you a defining moment in my life to hopefully bring some encouragement to you today. So before my one defining moment, a huge part of my life was trying to make myself satisfied by trying to live up to my own expectations. This was okay when I was really young, like in middle school, and could actually satisfy my own expectations. But as I got older and the expectations rose, I had a harder time being satisfied with myself academically and friends and beauty or anything, all the things that one could have a standard in. My freshman year of college, I decided that academic rigor was not enough, but that I wanted to add a new set of expectations onto myself, which had to do with my faith, and which was living a life of gentleness and forgiveness that God has called me to. It probably took about a year before I started to despair that I could be gentle or forgiving and all these other good things that God had called me to be and that I wanted to be. Despite trying my hardest by my sophomore year, I constantly found myself bitter and angry and moody and harsh with others. This failure to meet my expectations led me into a depression and into self-hatred, and then by the end of the depression, or by the 7th month of the depression, suicidal thoughts. I hated how weak I was. I hated that I was unable to achieve the things I wanted most, and I couldn't imagine living the rest of my life with such feebleness and incompetence. I knew that God loved me, but that didn't really matter to me. I didn't really want God's love. What I wanted was to be strong. My defining moment was in December 14th of my junior year. By that December, I was on a healing upswing from my depression that I mentioned earlier. In July, I had accepted that I needed God's grace to be satisfied. God's grace was important to me because it was unmerited or undeserved favor. I was still weak at that point, but God's grace meant that He still valued me, even if I didn't. Due to a variety of pressures, though, on December 14th, a few months later, I grew tired of needing grace. I wanted to be strong again. But I wasn't. I relapsed that evening into full suicidal contemplation. I tried to reach out to my friends to stay safe, but they were all busy. But looking back on it, I see now that God had better plans for saving me that night. By being forced to be alone, I was forced to face the pride that was killing me. I had this pride that said, if I have to live on God's charity the rest of my life, life isn't worth living. That night, I was so weak, I couldn't imagine living any longer. And lying on my bed, I tried to keep myself from getting up and doing anything. I realized then that the choice I had was not between weakness and satisfaction. It was between life or death. I could be weak and satisfied at the same time if I kept living. Because of God's love. I could live in God's love, or I could die in my independence and my weakness. And God wasn't forcing me to live that night like a slave master. He was giving me the choice to depend on Him to live or to let myself die. That night, I submitted my last hold on independent strength and asked God to help me live. And He did. After God's love finally permeated my life, and every part of myself, that even the parts that I thought I'd given over, I found that I was finally satisfied. I lost this nervous energy that I had that made me constantly look for more things that I should be doing to meet my standards, and it was the same type of nervous energy that first wearied me to begin with. God began teaching me to see my weakness as an opportunity for intimacy with Him, and for Him to speak love to me even when I wanted to hate myself. I started craving being with God more and more, and learning about His thoughts about me, which were a lot more pleasant than I thought they were, or just because that's I didn't have that many pleasant thoughts for myself. And in learning God's love for me, I learned how to love myself. And I also began seeing soon after that I was becoming more gentle with others, and I was more forgiving, and I was less demanding. The things that I had been striving for and that initially led me to just a place of self-hatred became an outflow once I laid down and accepted that I was lovable even if I was weak and not nice also on many occasions. So yeah, that is my one defining moment. What's yours?